One. Welcome back to the Fastbreak. Friends, it is Monday, January 12th, and may finally have an answer to who won the Luka Trae Young trade after 7 years. Uh, Good morning, you guys. We are joined always by Todd. Todd, how are we doing today?
Oh, it's fucking bliss, man. Coming off that Patriots win, it was a good weekend, so can't complain.
Yeah, both of our football teams are still alive. Great opening weekend of the playoffs. Every game was pretty close until Todd's team had to put the smack on the Chargers to kind of give us not a great ending to a great football weekend. But I know that you were loving it, not being particularly close, and the Chargers got to figure out what they're going to do on offensive line and few other positions out there as well too. But uh I'm excited. I'm excited for next weekend. Seems like the field is so even right now that it's just producing a lot of really good games instead of having a few dominant teams that are just shitting on everybody else so far. So yeah, it's a good week. Good
Yeah,
weekend
it
of
was
football.
weird
Watched a lot more
seeing
football than I did basketball.
yeah, it was weird seeing all the advertisements, for the MLK NBA, day, where they're doing it all. I mean, it's all on NBC now, and it just, you know, growing up, it was that whole day was on, TNT. So, obviously, they've switched to NBC now for this season, and, it really just hit home when I was like, "Oh, yeah," like, I mean, I've been watching some of the games on NBC, but having the MLK Day with that, like, no more Charles, no more Shaq, no more Kenny, and all the features that they would do surrounding the league on that day, through, Turner Sports, so, yeah, it was kinda the first time I was like, "Man, it's over."
Yeah, it's certainly kind of sad. Um, I do miss the TNT guys all being together right now. On
I mean,
Turner.
they're on ESPN, but it's just yeah,
Yeah.
it's just the TNT aspect of it's a little different.
But doesn't it feel like it's not quite the same? I don't know, like, I haven't really watched him much this year, but I feel like, I don't know, they just did a better job of producing clips and sending out, you know, being
Mhm.
more on the timeline when they were with Turner. I feel like with ESPN, it's just they're getting swallowed into the whole, like, "You're underneath football for us, you're underneath a couple other things." With Turner, it's like, "No, we're promoting the shit out of this show because this is what we got." So, yeah, it's a little bit disappointing on that. Feel like I have not seen as many funny clips from the Turner crew as I did in previous years, which is kinda sad.
Yeah, 100%. I think yeah, in the coming weeks it'll start to I also think they just work less this time of the year. Like I think that because I mean Charles Barkley threatens to retire like all the time. And will be like literally on the air live and just be like, "Do we get to go home yet? I'm ready to go home." Like, it's 1 in the morning.
Yeah.
So and they are older, so but yeah, I think that once probably I would say probably MLK Day all the way through to the finals, they'll probably work a lot more. So that's exciting.
Yeah, true. I mean, everything ramps up a lot just kinda as the start of the new year. So, it'll be good. I'm excited. Anyway,
Yeah.
let's talk about so today on the docket, we're talking about the Trae Young trade. Um, Obviously haven't potted since he actually got traded. We dropped last week's episode mere hours before he got traded. So that was awesome. We were speculating. I know we did bring up Washington as a suitor because he obviously said he wouldn't mind going there. And then they went and got it done. So Trae Young was traded to Washington for CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert, former Zag. so I've been kind of following him a little bit. Uh, yeah, end of the run for Trae Young in Atlanta. It was There were some decent highs. Obviously, getting to the Eastern Conference Finals in 2021, we've kind of talked about how weird of a run that was, though. But hey, still got there. Some guys haven't. Joel Embiid hasn't. And obviously, some lows as far as perennially kind of underachieving since that year. Uh, he finishes as the franchise leader in threes and assists. So, I mean, overall, not an unsuccessful tenure in Atlanta. Obviously, it was just kind of under the overall picture of this guy's not going to really be able to win us a championship, and we're paying him like a championship player, you know? Uh, Being a 1A and treated like a 1A when you're not a 1A always kind of leads to rifts and a difficult view by the public on kind of what you are and what your team can be. So, what do you think of this trade? First of all, just straight up Trae Young for CJ and Corey Kispert. I like Corey Kispert. I like CJ as well too. Obviously, this is selling pretty low on Trae Young here, um, especially considering uh, really there wasn't a lot of teams that could do this trade for with Atlanta. So it's at least an asset going forward for Washington. Um, and Washington and Atlanta's finally out of the Trae Young business. So
Yeah, like you said, they're obviously selling low, definitely should have moved on a little bit sooner, but they do pick up some flexibility with the ability to maybe go after picking up CJ's contract as an expiring. Um, and they have some other contracts that they can piece together to maybe go get. I mean, people were talking when this trade happened. Oh, Anthony Davis, to kind of fill that Porzingis role that it seems like he's dealing with off the court medical stuff. He might not be able to come through for them. So, and then Dallas is kind of in no man's land, so they're exploring the options of trading Davis. But since then, Davis is like gonna get hand surgery or something. So it doesn't necessarily make sense for Atlanta unless they really want to give him that contract, that max deal, like trade for him, have him sit out the year after the surgery, and then have him ready to go for next year. I think what they wanted to do was get him, see how it looks this year, and if they can make a run with a really good defensive team, uh, then maybe extend Davis on like a 3-year max, 2-year max team option. I'm not sure that Anthony Davis is going to get the deal that he wants. But regardless, that seems like it's kind of that ship has kind of sailed because he is getting the surgery. As far as Trae Young, he's going back to, or he's reuniting with Travis Schlenk, who's the guy that pulled the trigger on the draft night deal to acquire him. Um, I don't know what the guy's obsession is with Trae Young. I feel like it's like, oh, that was kind of a swing and a miss. Considering that Luka was there. God, that draft is insane. Anyway,
I mean, looking back at that, did Atlanta actually win that trade? Considering Dallas now has
no,
a
because they made
bro.
the finals.
That's true. That's true. So they made it. They made it one round farther. They made it one round farther, um, and Dallas is left with a broken Anthony Davis, and Atlanta has C.J. McCollum and Corey Kispert. So, I mean, obviously Dallas won the trade, but
This
it's
league,
just funny how it keeps weaving kind of back and forth a little bit on who can
yeah,
fuck this up more.
right. And then obviously, yeah, Atlanta, it's almost addition by subtraction. You kind of turn the team over guard wise to Dyson Daniels and Nikhil Alexander Walker, and it's like, look, go be annoying, go fucking disrupt people's offenses, on the perimeter. And I think Atlanta is going to be better for it now. What's gonna shake out is we'll see what happens with their ability to maybe add a piece with some of the expirings that they got for it. But regardless, I think it's just addition by subtraction. They also have those draft picks to work with. Milwaukee's, the Pelicans. I mean, shit. Giannis to Atlanta? I don't know if that happens in season, but around the draft with those picks, once Milwaukee sees where they shake out, or maybe it does happen in season, because then you can tell Milwaukee, look, you get your pick back for this year, and then they can just fully tank, just don't win another game the rest of the year, try to get in that top 4. And I don't know if Jalen Johnson's in the deal, but maybe you get a Kongwu. Like I said, those 2 picks, the Pelicans in their own. And they just hit the hard reset, because it seems, even though there's teams with more assets, it doesn't seem like there's any team that's going to budge. And I know I bring up the Giannis trade like every time we pod, but it really is the biggest domino and the biggest elephant in the room, in the proverbial NBA room, I guess, let's say.
Well, yeah, because things aren't great in Milwaukee, and he's the one guy that could really like swing a championship this year, next year, whoever wants to go all in for him. I still don't think Milwaukee's going to do anything until that guy formally asks for a trade, because should they trade him? Yes, probably. I don't think they're going to get close to another championship, and you can get a king's ransom for what Giannis is. But at the same time, I understand why they don't do it, because it's like, look, last time we had a guy this good, he left, he went to the Lakers, and we didn't get another championship for 40 something years. So I mean, and we didn't get anybody nearly as good for 40 years. So I understand the hesitancy to move off of a generational player that's already brought you a championship. Um, but yes, that'd be a good addition for them. I feel like if you're Milwaukee, you would have to get Jalen Johnson back. Just really promising young player. Um, or at least, I don't know. Dyson's taken a big step back with his offense this year. He's shooting 11%. Uh, so that's not great, obviously. And what was the stat I saw today about Dyson Daniels? I need to look this up. It is a shocking one, and I should have screenshotted this when I came across it. But if they don't make a move, speaking of Jalen Johnson, one of the things I do like is the opportunity for him to grow in this organization and continue to get better, because he has a very high ceiling, and I really like Jalen Johnson. You also, like I said, give Dyson Daniels a chance to grow. My boy Mo Gay from Washington State, you give him a chance to get more run and continue to grow in that organization as well too. CJ is an expiring. Uh, I I I like them being off of Trae. I mean, obviously they're playing better when he's not there, and I think you'll be able to find the offense from some different players out there as well too. The thing is like, honestly, if I was Atlanta, I'm not quite sure why I didn't get a pick as well too. I would have loved to get some sort of pick, some swap at some point down the road. But I get it, because it's also kind of like,
He didn't have any leverage.
who are they bidding against?
Yeah.
Um, because there was only a couple teams that, one, had the contract, wanted a point guard, and two and three even wanted to be in the Trae business. So there wasn't a lot of leverage there. So I understand that. I just would have liked to get a swap as well. I mean, look, you're trading with the fucking Wizards. Like, you should be able to swindle them for a pick or something like that. I mean, they don't have a great track record, Todd. Uh, so yeah, I don't mind it for Atlanta at all. I think it's going to be very beneficial going forward. How do you how do you look at this from a Washington perspective? Because now you're in the Trae Young business. Um, Obviously, he's going to want an extension. I've heard there's already extension talks. He has a player option if he opts in, which is $49 million. That would be about
Probably gonna
30%
pick
of your
that up.
cap. Yeah, yeah. That's gonna be about 30% of your cap, but you do now have an all-star asset, an all-star level asset, um, which you didn't have with CJ and Corey Kispert. So at the very least, if you play your cards right and he kind of balls out for a period of time, you could be able to buy low, sell high on this guy if you had the right market for him. So I actually don't I don't mind this for Washington. He's also kind of dealing with an injury. I don't think he's going to win you enough games to really affect your draft pick. So I think you're okay there. You might win a couple of games you don't want to, but obviously the lottery is a crapshoot. So you really just got to make sure that you're still in that top 8, so your pick doesn't go to New York. And I think they're fine. From what I can tell is if he doesn't have much talent around him, Trae Young's not going to affect winning too much to get you out of the top 8 of the draft. So you should be all right. And guess what? If you don't want to play him, fucking don't. I'm sure Trae Young is perfectly fine collecting a paycheck and not playing, maybe showing up for a few games at the end of the season, throw up some threes, call it a season. So how do you like this from Washington's perspective too?
Well, I mean, Sar, with the development of Sar, his ability to stretch the defense, but also as a rim protector, obviously you have to have a rim protector if you're gonna roll with Trae Young. If they want to build around him, Shams basically said, uh, Washington officials been searching for their anchor, for their like young talent, and the franchise believed that this trade is the next step in the organization's developmental process amid a rebuild. Now, that could mean a bunch of things. That could mean, look, we think this guy is the guy to build around. It could also mean, like you said, buy low, sell high, add more assets, uh, and be able to flip him eventually. Also, if he opts in, he's an expiring contract next year, big money. You just wait for the next guy to be unhappy and you move him. Uh, Real quick, one last thing about Atlanta. Jalen Johnson for me, untrade. I'm not. He's on the untouchable list. I'm not moving him. It's got to be like Ricochet, McCollum, and then the draft picks. And you say, look, you're getting a number 1 pick. You're getting 2 potential number 1 picks with your own and the Pelicans. You're getting an expiring deal with McCollum. I mean, I don't know. If they really want to move him, I think you're right. They're not going to unless Giannis is like, get me out of here. They're just not going to do it. He's going to have to force it. So that's probably a moot point. Getting back to Washington. Um, yeah, man. I mean, yeah, they've been bad for a long time and mismanaged, but it feels like they're starting to really like take a rebuild seriously and not try to, just be like the Bulls where it's like directionless and like, oh, so I think Trae Young, sure. I guess tickets or getting fans in the seats have been a problem for them. They do want to try to have uh, uh a better home crowd. Can't be great for the young players going to games, going to work every night, and feeling like, man, like this crowd is dead. And there's more like, Knicks fans and, Philly fans and other fans, teams here because the tickets are dirt cheap and, it's not that far of a drive. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's an interesting deal. I would have liked to see Atlanta get more too, but at the end of the day, like we said, they had no leverage in Washington. I don't know. I have mixed feelings. I hate Trae Young. So like, I don't I if I was a fan of theirs, I'd be very hesitant. With that said, the whole idea of buying low and trading high, that's very appealing. And he is a guy that's made an all-star team 4 times. Certainly his work ethic is not like a problem. I mean, this guy gets in the gym. He didn't become the point guard that he is just on pure talent. He's not exactly, a guy that you look at on the street and be like, that guy's an NBA player. So I don't think that's a problem. One thing I will say is his perception of him being a huge, massive 3-point shooter is not uh he's not as good of a shooter as everybody seems to think he is. Now, with the volume that he takes him at, that kind of changes the equation, but I do think his shot selection needs to get better. Obviously an incredible passer. Hopefully he can get, if he is on the floor, guys like Sar, Koulibaly, some of the other young guys that they have, just put them in positions to be able to score the basketball. It certainly makes them more interesting. So, and maybe that's what they're going for. They just want to be a little bit more interesting. But not much more to say on that. I think the more interesting piece of it is what Atlanta does from moving forward.
Agreed. And I mean, I can respect that with how boring of a brand of basketball they've played over the really since John Wall, Bradley Beal. I can kind of respect being like, hey, can we at least get somebody in here that's kind of exciting? Because I mean, Bilal Coulibaly and Risa Shea and none of these guys play an awesome, like exciting, get off your feet brand of basketball. Even the young guys that are good, Jalen Johnson, you know, and Dyson Daniels. It's more of a defensive kind of. It's they're not high flying dunk or 3-point barrage type guys. It's not an exciting. I never see am flipping through and see a Washington game and go, I better check this out for a few minutes. I do sometimes because I do this podcast, but it's not a great watch. Um, not as much as not as much as some other teams. Uh, Speaking of a team that was not expected to be that great of a watch, but now is this season. Um, let's talk a little Suns for a bit. You down for that?
Yeah.
The Suns are, I would say, at least in the West, probably the biggest surprise of the season for sure. Uh, they are 24 and 15. They are sixth in the West, just a half a game behind LA for the 5 spot and a half a game ahead of Houston. Houston had a bad loss last night to Sacramento. Pretty fully healthy and gave Sacramento the first win in 7 games. So that's why they're up on Houston. Not in the play-in. I think that's incredibly shocking. If you asked me where the Suns ended up uh, on top of the play-in or below the play-in, I would have much rather guessed below. Um, so that's just a win for them. Uh, 8-2 in their last 10, so they've really been turning it on. Now, they've played the Pelicans a few times. They've played, I believe, Charlotte in there. It hasn't been awesome, but they have beaten OKC and the Knicks in the last 10 game stretch. So some impressive wins there as well too, and really built off of a lot of chip on the shoulder guys, which we've seen. Like my immediate thought goes to 2016 Celtics with a bunch of guys that we're kind of cast off, traded a few times. I mean, you got Jalen Green, obviously just got traded from Houston for Kevin Durant. Houston he was the young guy they were willing to give up on, and obviously contracts and whatnot. Uh, Dylan Brooks bounced around a few times. Guys thought he was going to be on the Shanghai Sharks after Memphis, and the fact that he's kind of came in and been the heart and soul of this Phoenix team and really led them to developing an identity and toughness, uh, he's been invaluable for them. Grayson Allen bounced around a few times. Obviously, had some success in Milwaukee at times, but playing a really good role for them. I think the biggest story for them has been Colin Gillespie, who, I mean, literally did not get minutes on Denver at all. I didn't know where he was. I didn't know where he came from. And now he has been a revelation for them and playing really well. Another one of those, hard-nosed Nova guys from Jay Wright's system that's been playing really well in the pros. Um, Yeah, he's been such a surprise. Mark Williams obviously was on Charlotte, got sent back from LA after the physical. They were trying to trade him multiple times in Charlotte. Now he's kind of found a home out there. Jordan Goodwin was waived by the Lakers. He's a fantastic defensive player. The Lakers could really use him right now. Um, and then this guy, I just put a few question marks over his name because I'm not really sure where he came from or how to say his name. But he's playing real minutes for them. Oso Iguodaro. Uh, Todd, feel free to correct me on anything. I have no idea who he is or inform me on anything. No idea who he is. All I know is that Oso means bear in Spanish. So uh, certainly a nickname opportunity here at the very least. But yeah, I got to give it to them. These guys are playing their asses off, and they're stacking real wins. I thought this was like kind of a fluke beginning of the year type of thing, but this is a team that's probably going to be in the playoffs, and they're going to give somebody hell for 5 to 6 games. So, uh, yeah, that's a quick recap on the Suns there. Really impressed by them. First thing I want to know is this sustainable, Todd? And is Booker, do they have an all-star on this team? Is Booker an all-star?
Yeah, I think Booker being the leader of the team, averaging 25 a game, gotta have him on your all-star ballot. Um, Thing is too, Jalen Green hasn't played this year, so he's played 2 games. They have a guy coming back that could be potentially a second starter. In that stretch of games you mentioned, went right after beating OKC toe to toe with Houston, took Durant at the buzzer to beat Phoenix. Eh, Probably more of a regular season story. Now, do I think they're going to be a tough out in the playoffs based on whether it's a sweep, they get swept, but it's 4 just grind games where, you know, they're kind of being a pain in the ass for somebody? I could see it. Obviously, Dylan Brooks bringing a winning attitude and culture there really just does not give a fuck about what anybody has to say. And I think that that's important when you talk about a team that, like you said, it's kind of similar to those 2018 Celtics um, where Kyrie's out and Gordon Hayward's out, and the young guys and some of the role guys like Terry Rozier just say, fuck it, like we all we're ready to ride. I think, yeah, Jordan Goodwin point is awesome. Their bench has been really good this year. One thing that kind of kills me about this team, though, and I liked this pick, Malawak. I saw in the tournament, he changed. I mean, he was, I don't want to call him, he's certainly not Wemby, but his ability to alter shots and control the defensive glass and really be an anchor on defense for Duke, really impressive. Now, that team did have 2 guys that are in the running for rookie of the year. So, sure, I think in the future he could be a guy that is, the anchor for them on defense. But when you look at the draft, I mean, Cedric Howard going 1 pick later and Derek Queen going 3 picks later. That's kind of brutal because they don't have young talent. They don't have people to necessarily build around. A lot of these role guys, I have a feeling eventually they'll have to overpay in order to keep them. So I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, I think it's more of a 1-year wonder, maybe a regular season team. But with that said, I mean, if you're a Suns fan, you're coming into this year like, I don't even want to watch the Suns. They're going to be garbage for 10 years. They're kind of in a similar spot as the Bucks, where it's like, look, we have Devin Booker and nothing else. I mean, just a bunch of guys that don't really fit together. I mean, before the year and you looked at their team, it's like, great, your best 4 players all play the same position. Like that's not how you want to build your team, but hey, they've kind of figured it out. And the coach that they hired, Jordan Ott, has come in and really been able to, after they had a few different coaches come through there, and obviously it's different types of teams, different types of expectations. But they play hard every night. Gotta respect it if you're a Suns fan. Like I said, it reminds me of those 2017, 2018 type Celtics where, Kelly Olynyk came in and ended the Washington Wizards, that type of feel to them. So now that was the East. In the West, that team probably doesn't make runs to the conference finals. So we'll see. If the Suns made a run in the playoffs, that would be like, wow, you got to start talking about this coach as like a Spoelstra. Because they're kind of similar. I kind of remind me of a Miami team where it's just overachieving and guys really maximizing their potential. Dylan Brooks having, I believe, a career year. I mean, he's averaging 21 points a game. Grayson Allen, one of the best shooters. Definitely a little aggro still. And like you said, Gillespie, great pickup. Jordan Goodwin, great pickup. Ryan Dunn, great defensive player. And if they can somehow fit Jalen Green in here and maybe have him spark some offense, and then who knows, maybe flip Jalen Green eventually for younger talent or somebody that fits a little bit better with Brooks and Booker, they could be interesting moving forward. Now, their front office is going to have to work their fucking ass off over the next several years to be able to find guys in the second round, find them in the later first round, because they don't have their picks. They can't tank. But at the end of the day, they still have a superstar in Devin Booker. And, I don't hate this if I'm a Suns fan.
No, it's at least a bright spot in what you thought was going to be a really tumultuous couple of years, and probably end with Booker leaving the team, whether requesting a trade or just getting out of there. Um, the good thing for them is that guy has expressed a lot of interest in wanting to be a Sun for life. So maybe he is one of the few guys that's like, look, I'll be here through some lean years if, as long as I think you guys are doing the right thing and building this team in a correct way. You're right. The coach has done a really good job. Time will tell if this guy is like, if he continues to overachieve and continue to overachieve with less talent on the teams, if he's kind of an Eric Spoelstra out west, and is able to, take teams to Western Conference Finals with, fringe all-star guys and barely superstar guys, kind of in that Jimmy Butler, Devin Booker range. They're kind of in that same range, actually. It's kind of funny how that works. You're right. And Jalen Green, you said they don't have a lot of young talent. He is potentially the way that this kind of bridges into something kind of real. Um, he's obviously shown flashes. I don't have a ton of faith he's going to ever be a superstar. I have pretty big doubts he could ever be a singular all-star. But it could happen. It could happen. I mean, we've seen guys develop a little bit later in their careers. He is still very young. And he was a very high pick. And he showed flashes in Houston of being a very, very good offensive player. Um, Obviously, the last time we really saw him play was the playoffs for Houston, where he could not create his own offense. He had one good game where he dropped 40. The other 4 games or 5 games. How long did that series go last year? 6? 7? Oh, yeah. God damn it. I hate myself for that. For those only listening, I did the 6, 7. Anyway, he had one good game out of 7 and basically led Houston to make drastic changes and go get Kevin Durant, and was fine with shipping him out of town. So that's not a great lasting impression we have of him. And then he's obviously only played 2 games. The good thing for Phoenix is he should come back on this next road trip for them. So we will get to see him with the rest of this Suns team here very soon. For them, this will be a good test for Ott to see if he is able to kind of implement Jalen Green seamlessly into this team that is playing very well. So that's exciting and also probably a little bit nerve-wracking for the Suns, because if he doesn't fit in and it doesn't look good, I mean, this was this is what you got back for Kevin Durant. So that's a little bit shaky if he doesn't look good. So it's important that they get him in there and accommodate it into this offensive style. So we'll see.
Yeah, they've
Luckily for
got
him,
5 playoff teams coming up on this East Coast road trip with Miami, Detroit, Knicks, 76ers, and Atlanta, with the Nets baked in there as well. So we'll see. I mean, if they go 4-1, that shows me that like, yo, okay, this team is for real. I mean, they're a legitimate team. Again, the West is so fucking tough at the top. Not sure if they're going to be able to win a 7-game series, but who knows? I mean, who knows? Stranger things have happened. And the other thing too is, other than Jalen Green, they've been healthy. They've been healthy. They've been able to maintain that health, which is important. So yeah, props to them. Props to their organization, and yeah, good to see them. Good to see them trying.
really could be like a Kings 2022 season where it's like, oh, they're the 3 seed. Well, nobody's been injured this year. We say as Jalen Green has literally not played this year, but who knows what he's going to be when he gets in there. They've also had some good scheduling advantages so far this year. A lot of home games. Um, not a ton of playoff teams they played so far. So a little bit of scheduling stuff with them. But yeah, overall impressive by the Suns, and maybe we'll talk about them again later on in the season if they keep this thing
Are
rolling.
they a John Morant destination?
Would you trade Jalen Green for John Morant?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I would too. Obviously, Jaw's a little bit more proven. Now that gets interesting because if Jaw goes to Phoenix and he fits in well now, but now you got a little bit issue of like, okay, does Jaw want it to be his team? Is Jaw able to be like, yeah, that's fine. Devin Booker's the guy here. I'm fine with that. If there's no issue with fitting in, yeah, I would do it if I was Phoenix, because then that at least raises your level of like, okay, if you bring in Ja and it works, then you could win a first round series and give somebody hell in the second round. And he's younger. That's something you could build off of. So I would do it.
Yeah, he's a real point guard. Not in the same way that like Rondo or one of those old Jason Kidd or something. But in the modern NBA, he is a point guard. You could put him next to Booker. He's young. He's shown the ability to be the guy on a team that wins. But with that said, too, he's lost that right unless he wants to go be like Trae Young and be like, look, no, I'm not like, then fine, you can go to Sacramento or you can go to, I mean, earlier you had mentioned off the pod the Pelicans. Like that's always been thrown out there, pairing him with Zion. That would be the Pelicans just tripling down on the like, fuck it, like let's just be let's just have a lot of talent and not that would be a terrible fit for him. I think culture-wise in Phoenix, you can bring him in, and that's kind of what they're going to need to do is they're going to need to take risks on guys that are super talented that haven't necessarily panned out for whatever reason in the areas that they're at. Zion would be another guy that if I'm Phoenix, I'm looking at like, look, we don't have draft picks. This guy has not reached his ceiling. You get him around Devin Booker, who takes care of his body. For this is as far as any one of these guys, Jaw, Zion. You pair him with Booker, and you like, look, watch this guy work. See how seriously he takes it. Uh, and as long as they can fit in. No, who knows? Maybe Phoenix is like, no, look, we just want to be this ragtag bunch, and I wouldn't do anything this year. I would see how the playoffs play out, see how close they are to knocking one of these other teams off. But if it's clear that there's a ceiling, especially if there's some interest from other teams in Jalen Green, depending on how he plays. No, if you're giving up like future assets, I would not do that if I were them. It's got to be buying low, just like Washington. Like, look, you have to negotiate the shit out of it and be like, look, you're not getting anything that Like, maybe Malawach, maybe, just because you don't really know what that's gonna be. He's so raw right now that he doesn't play that much. But I don't know, they might like him a lot and say, "Hell no. Here's just a bunch of guys and Jalen Green." And that might be good enough to be able to pick somebody up because, again, it's kind of a situation in Memphis where, similar with Atlanta with Trae Young, addition by subtraction, they're 6-12 when he plays, 10-9 when he doesn't. Maybe you're just better off just saying, cutting your losses and saying, look, we're not going to get what we would have gotten for him 2 years ago. It's just too much has happened.
Yeah, and you drafted so well. I mean, you got Wells and you got Cedric Coward, two younger guys that really. I mean, Cedric Coward looks like he could get to every level John Morant has. Um,
Don't forget Zach
and you're
Edey.
what?
Don't forget Zach Edey, my boy.
Yeah, Zach Edey as well too. Your Canadian boy, but
Yeah.
no, I mean
Best
they
Asian player since Yao. I mean, I know he's Wasian. He's half white, half Asian, but
well
still.
Jeremy Lin.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Where were you in 2013? I was there.
In fucking Miss Edenstrom's class at Timberline. That's where I was.
Sup. Yeah, yeah, we're in astronomy. Speaking of Asians, Young Hansen, watched him a little bit the other night for Portland. Good putback. Good putback. That's my guy. Um,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
but regardless, Memphis drafts really well, so it has taken the pressure off of like not obviously the pressure's all on him. It's taking the pressure off the organization where they're like, okay, we actually don't need him anymore the way we used to. Like, we got a guy that could be a superstar. We have role players. Like we kind of have a roster that we feel okay with going forward. We don't need you anymore. We're not gonna fall off the face of the earth and be terrible if we don't have Ja. Um, so
And they
I think
phased
that
him out a little bit, so, like, you can't expect the fans to completely revolt. Like, if they had traded him, let's say, a year and a half ago, I think those fans are still like, "Hey, like, that's our fucking guy, like, he's young, like, don't quit on him yet." And now it's just gotten to a point where it's a little toxic, it's they're clearly they play better without him. And you're right, they kinda have some new guys, and if you're a Memphis fan, you can get behind those guys who seem like they're a little bit more locked in, a little bit more mature. And the other thing too is his injuries. Hasn't been the most durable guy, which is why, again, a team like Phoenix, who doesn't even have the ability to draft well because they don't have their picks, you gotta take a flyer on somebody like that. So I think that that's a little interesting. I don't know if that happens this season. Maybe somebody pulls the trigger on a move for um, before Phoenix would be willing to. Certainly, the way that their chemistry is going right now, and Jalen Green doesn't have any trade value. I don't know if that would be possible. And I'm not really sure about the other destinations that that would work. I know that they're interested in trading him before the deadline, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen.
that's a good point on the fan perspective as well too, because yeah, it's definitely been he hasn't ruined his relationship with the city, obviously, because nothing's been like that bad, but like they're annoyed. I think everybody's a little bit annoyed with the situation right now. Like nobody's going to protest outside of the stadium like they did with Luca for Ja, I think at this point.
That would
So
be absurd.
you just got this small group of like 10 dudes that are like, this is bullshit. This is my guy. I was supposed to watch Ja for the next 15 years.
um,
But you're right. It's the same situation as Trae because it's like, okay, who needs a point guard and who can take on a $40 million salary? Not that many teams.
and he's eligible to sign a 3-year, $178 million extension this summer. So that's the other thing is if you're the
Oh
team
my
trading for him,
God.
yeah. I mean, yeah, he's made. I don't know what his All NBA situation's been. I'd have to look that up, but he has made 2 All-Star teams. I think it's another reason why for them it's like you get to clean your cap situation up. Like the Jaren Jackson Jr. contract with a jaw. That's why they're looking to move him now because they're like, oh God, we're gonna have to otherwise you lose him for nothing. So you're gonna have to re-sign him. He's gonna have a little bit of leverage with it, which is hilarious because he shouldn't. Maybe they can do it like the Pelicans with Zion, where it's like, look, this is not fully guaranteed. It is incentive laden. Like you need to play. You have to hit a certain number of games. He's also having his worst. I think he's having his worst season as a pro. Maybe even worse than his rookie year. Shooting a career low 40% from the field. 40% from the field is not good, especially because he doesn't shoot a lot of threes. And he's shooting 20% from three, 21%. It's like that's not exactly the kind of guy that you want to build around. That's why, again, it's going to have to be a team like the Pelicans or the Suns or Sacramento. Although it seems like Sacramento has been made fun of so much that they refuse to make any of these deals for these guys that are so obviously like fits for the Kings. What about Milwaukee? It's another team like Phoenix that's got to maybe take a risk. If you're going to build around Giannis,
Yeah. What do you put in there? What is it? Turner and
yeah.
uh
I mean, I don't know. I'm not Bobby Marks, so I would have to whatever, go on the trade machine and stuff and see what what contracts match up and whatever, but um yeah, I mean, I think they could probably get to 40 million. If I'm Milwaukee, I mean, again, Memphis is going to have to understand, look, you have no leverage. You're not getting like picks or like, a player. You maybe get the kid on Milwaukee who's played really well for them this year who's it's been a good shooter. Hold on, why I can't think of
Kevin
his name
Porter
yet.
Jr.?
Yeah, or shit. I should know this. I should know this. I'm pulling
While
it
you're
up right
looking
now.
this up, I
Ryan
do need.
Holland.
Oh.
Ryan Rollins.
Oh, yeah, Ryan Rollins has been really good this year. Um,
Um maybe
while
they
you're
get
doing that,
maybe they get the Nassus.
yeah, and then Giannis just follows the next year for nothing. That'd be awesome. Yeah, and then it's just Memphis. Memphis is just the Bucks. Uh, yeah. No, that wouldn't be a bad option for them, obviously, because to pair another star with Giannis, obviously they've kind of gone down the avenues where they got to get rid of basically the rest of their team to match anybody with him, and nobody really can. So Ja would be a good option as far as like you could go get Ja and you could still have like a couple pieces around there as well too, because it's not going to bankrupt you to go get him if you can make the contracts work. So that certainly wouldn't be too bad of an option for them. I wouldn't mind that. If I was Milwaukee and their fans and their organization, I think it's worth a shot on him. And you're in Milwaukee, you're not Memphis. I think Memphis is not a great influence for a lot of players. I've heard they really like going out in Memphis. I heard like recent stories from KD that he's like pulled all-nighters in Memphis before games, which is like crazy. Like, okay, but got some real dudes down there. Uh,
Probably a
and
different type of vibe for somebody like Kevin Durant or John Morant than it is for like say Austin Reeves
yeah,
actually I don't know. He's kind of
you don't think
I don't know.
Reeves
I
is
don't
for
want
the
to speak for
culture?
anybody, but yeah.
But yeah, no, I think Milwaukee could at least be a good spot for him to be like, all right, well, let's focus on basketball here.
You're
Uh,
right. I don't know if the contracts work. I mean Bobby Portis Jr., he makes about 15. A lot of these guys they have around Giannis and Miles Turner, other than Kuzma, who's like, if you're moving Kuzma, you have to give. That's like a negative asset. It's like that's kind of Ja isn't quite there yet. Yeah, I don't know. Milwaukee might just be completely fucked.
They don't have a lot of great contracts. They do if you, like, need to move around the margins, but the problem is that they don't need to move around the margins. They need to upgrade significantly with a star with Giannis. Um, or, like, not a star, but at least an all-star caliber player. So, yeah, it's really tough for Milwaukee right now. That's why I said at the beginning of the pod, as you know, their best option is, like, just fucking trade Giannis and get back everything and start over. But it's hard to do. It's
Well,
hard to do.
another factor too is the whole stretching Dame thing. Like they might not even be able to do a trade, not because they don't have the contracts or not because there's nobody that like makes sense, but because they're in like they might be like an apron team. I think they're like almost in the second apron, which is insane because it's like they're you you literally have one max guy, and yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's I don't know. There's got to be a team for Ja. He like who knows? And this might be a moot point. He might just be like, "No, send me to Sacramento. I'll build it up there." And yeah,
Sacramento reported that they're not interested.
I know.
They're out of the job business, which is fucking crazy to me. Like, you could potentially have this life raft out here. Like, you can send back some massive, not great contracts. I mean, like,
Keegan
would
Murray.
De- would DeRozan work in Memphis, like, to produce him? But yeah, you'd probably want like a Keegan Murray back or something, obviously like that. But I'm like, they
And that
have,
contract's too big. He's
yeah,
overpaid.
they have. But I'm saying they have the contracts to give back to Memphis some sort of package, and you could. I mean, Memphis is well ran, so I don't know if they could get away with this, but you can sell people on the hypothetical of Levine, DeRozan, like some of these pieces. Obviously, like you said, Keegan Murray's actually a good, solid, younger piece there. That would kind of be enticing for me if I was Memphis moving forward. Like you throw in an expiring big contract to make it work, and then you throw in a Keegan Murray as well too to kind of entice them to do it. And if you're Sacramento, it's like, fuck, dude. I mean, you got to do something different, and it makes you better having a John Morant. Say what you will about him. At this point in his career, he's still much more of a winning player than DeRozan or Levine or Russ or anybody they have on their team.
Yeah, Sacramento's it's a sad. I loved those light the beam teams, and then fucking Rich Paul getting into De'Aaron Fox's ear, like, "Hey, man, this is fun, but it's not gonna work out the way that you want it to." And just kind of chirping him and chirping him and chirping him, and eventually he's like, "Yeah, get me out of here." And then Mike Brown, it's like, what do you? It's just sad, and their ownership's bad, and whatever. It's too bad, but it'll be interesting to see where Jaw ends up. It might be there could be a team that comes out of nowhere that does something with him, but they might also just be stuck. They might be stuck, and who knows? Maybe they just say, "You know what? You're gonna have to walk. You hit free agency. See what you can get out there, because we're not giving you the max. We're not giving you a max. You're not an all-star player anymore. So you just had your worst season. So we'll see what happens with that." Another team that I think should maybe make a deal, or a lot of people think should, is Detroit. How do you feel about that? Not for Job, but for anyone.
I think they should as well too. They have a little bit of issue scoring. Obviously, besides Duncan Robinson, who's having a really nice year, and Cade, who's obviously taking another step up. Really love those two guys for them. And then Jalen Duren, who's taking another step up as well, too. But you can always use more scoring. And honestly, I haven't loved the way the Knicks have looked this year, especially after winning the play-in, or not play-in, winning the in-season tournament. They're 6-7 since then. And another curse of the team who wins the in-season or the NBA Cup. Sorry, my apologies. The Emirates NBA Cup in I'm sure it'll be in Abu Dhabi in a couple years. And but regardless, I would like a little bit more scoring for them. Uh, this has been reported quite a bit. I think they should be in on Michael Porter Jr. The Nets desperately do not want to win. They first of all, they need to see which one of these 5 first-round picks that they took are real NBA players. And Michael Porter Jr. has been phenomenal for them and is kind of winning them too many games than they would like. So I would like to see them target him, and I think he would fit in pretty flawlessly. And I mean, man, with him and Duncan Robinson on either side, you got a lot of offense coming at you. So yeah, I think the Pistons should make a move because I think the East is wide open. And you have a chance to go back to the finals for the first time since the mid 2000s, which would be great for them.
Yeah, it's weird. They miss Malik I almost said Michael Beasley. Malik Beasley. Um, they just took an L to the Clippers this weekend, who have been playing better. Um, but before that, yeah, they've lost twice to the Clippers this year. That's weird. Considering they haven't lost very many games. But last few games beat the Lakers on the road, beat Cleveland on the road, beat the Knicks, waxed the Knicks by 30. So they're in good shape. A lot of people are saying, as far as the Michael Porter Jr. thing, basically Tobias Harris. Tobias Harris is going to need to be included in any trade that they make, and a lot of people feel like he's a really important, locker room leadership guy on the team, and that losing him might cause more issues than a lot of people would initially think. I don't know. Jaden Ivey hasn't really done what I thought he would end up doing or become for them. Asar Thompson they took and has just basically stolen that guy's minutes. He also dealing with the injury and everything. I understand that, but I would think that if they were to make a move, they'd have to move off of him and then Tobias. And they better be right because their chemistry right now is so good. I think what they do is they wait until the off season and see how this thing plays out. They almost beat the Knicks last year. I mean, that was a tough series. So East is wide open. Cade Cunningham, MVP candidate for me, and I think he should be All NBA first team. Great year from him. God, I can't believe I thought about them hey, maybe hit the reset button and trade this guy because it's not working. Bad
Yeah,
take by me.
I'm glad I never sold my Cade stock on that one. But that year 2 was really bad. I mean, the things that Monty Williams, he could technically sue Monty Williams for like damages to like his like
Reputation.
money, like reputation, slander, libel. I mean, I've never I've never seen somebody kind of harm somebody's progression like that. I mean, I remember seeing the photos of Cade on the bench during that season, and he literally looked like he was like a Vietnam vet, like just sitting on the couch, like after hearing a bang. Like he looked shell shocked. He did not look like he was having a good time playing basketball, and I'm sure he wasn't. But another small step up for him. But a little bit worried about Asar. He hasn't taken as much of a step up as I would have loved to this year. Still think he's going to be a really solid pro. Um, but you would have liked to see a little bit more from him. Jaden Ivey, obviously, now it's kind of looking like he might not be a part of this team going forward. Whereas last year, I would have been like, that's a piece for them, like as they continue to ascend. But we'll see. Um, Lost to the Clippers, like you said. They didn't have Cade in that game, so I'll give them a little bit of grace there. Uh, and the Clippers have been like basically one of the hottest teams in basketball over the last 10 games as soon as Kawhi has been turning it on for them. But yeah, a little bit more offense would be good.
They have
I would
7 guys. They have 7 guys averaging over 6 rebounds a game.
yeah. And we've talked about this before is it's the shift of like okay, the mathematical inequality that we can exploit was threes, and now it's offensive rebounding. And you see it with Boston. They go crazy for offensive rebounds. You see it with Houston, and the Pistons have also been a team that has kind of tried to spam this kind of math inequality to get a bunch of extra possessions. And obviously they have the shooters to where if you go and get yourself 10 to 15 extra possessions a game, you're now creating an extra 20 points for yourself with the way they've been shooting the ball. So great from them. I
The main thing is that they play Ron Holland and Asar so much. They need and then you have Isaiah Stewart and Duran, Cade. Those are no, those guys play a lot for them. None of them are great three-point shooters. Not great to bad to they don't shoot them. So that's kind of the problem. They have a spacing problem. Obviously, they bring in Duncan Robinson. And then you have Karis LeVert and Jaden Ivey, who a little bit better shooters, but they don't Duncan Robinson plays quite a bit for them because they need him to be able to space the floor. Otherwise, it's just screwed. But if Asar and Ron Holland can take a little bit of a step up and just go from like shooting 25% from three up to like 33, that is a huge piece of the puzzle for them. I mean, again, Ron Holland 24%, Asar 27. Incredible athletes, and they're young and they're defensive dogs and they're great at rebounding, but if you can get them to oh shit, I was actually looking at per 36 for the rebounding totals. So that wasn't true. I was actually wrong about that, but they are a great
God
rebounding
damn it.
team. Yeah, no, I mean that was an insane stat. I was like, you have 7 dudes averaging over 6 a game. That's like, and that's not even, Duran and yeah, Duran is one of the best rebounders in the league. So I was just like, wow, you have a guy that good and you still have your wings getting that many. But Cade 6.2, Duran 10.5, Tobias Harris 4.5, Azhar 5.8, Big Stu 5.6, Ron Holland 4.2. That's still pretty good. And then Paul Reed too. That was a nice little signing for them. Coming off of his days in Philly. Comes off the bench for
B-ball
them.
Paul.
Yeah, exactly. Comes off the bench for them, is able to fill the minutes that whenever Big Stu's in foul trouble and Duran needs a blow. So I like the direction of their team. Yes, Michael Porter Jr. could elevate them. He could also completely throw the chemistry off. He's a wild card. So also had injury issues throughout his career. So
Well, yeah, and then, you know, you had the issues with Malik Beasley gambling, and then you bring in Michael Porter Jr. could could have some issues as well there, if you know what I mean. Um,
Markkinen would be a better fit, but you know that Ainge is going to be like, well, I want a SAR and
oh,
I want, he's going to try and screw them. So
oh my
I think it's
gosh,
off season. They got to make a move.
yeah. You gotta be careful with the Porter brothers, and they're gambling. I'm gambling again. No, Lori would be
Well,
too
Porter
too.
Jr. claims that his vice is women. He like went on a pod. He's like, look, my brother has issues with gambling. I have issues with women. That's never really been a problem for him. And people were like, whoa, like double shots fired at your brother, man. Like, Jesus.
That guy has absolutely no filter. He's arguably the dumbest person in the NBA. I would argue. There's probably some guy that's dumber that just doesn't talk, and he's actually smart for that. Michael Porter Jr. is dumb and very loud. I mean, having like porn stars on his podcast, and yeah, he's just
Yeah.
he
Hanging
doesn't.
out with the Nelk boys.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not too smart of a guy. So you're right, that could be a distraction and chemistry issue for Detroit. But if he comes in there and just hoops, he has been playing phenomenal this year. And he's kind of looking like the guy we really thought who he was coming out of high school, Nathan Hale, and going to Mizzou and was, the number one player in the country. And doing 360 windmill dunks to end the state championship game for your 4th straight title. Um, yeah. So I mean, he 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 maybe he's turning into the player that we always thought. The back issues obviously scare you. I wouldn't do anything too long term with him. Um, but he's been having a hell of a year. Do you see any other before we wrap this up, do you see any other trade talks for or trade interest for the Pistons?
Yeah, I think clearly adding a forward that can space the floor is the number one thing, which is why Markkanen and Porter Jr. immediately come to mind. Um, yeah, nothing immediately that I can think of. Maybe Austin Reeves? If there's some sort of deal where would you trade a star for Austin Reeves? Tobias Harris and or Duncan Robert, whoever, throw a contract in there to make it work, and then you give the Lakers a young guy and maybe a pick, and you get Austin Reeves, and that's the deal. And then you re-sign him this offseason. That's interesting.
Dude, yeah, I'm thinking about that. I'm stewing on it. I think the Lakers to potentially get better and actually have a chance in the playoffs, they would have to get better at defense. And Asar is a giant leap up from Reeves. So in that case, I think I would do it. But Reeves has been playing out of his mind. He's been phenomenal this year. And actually, as far as Detroit goes, I mean, yeah, you're going to lose a young defensive demon that could potentially level up. But if you're going to go for it this year, what do you need? Who's going to be more valuable for you? A guy that is just a bucket would probably be more valuable. That
And
you can actually
clutch.
run off offense through to take that pressure off of Cade. I think it would probably be a win-win. I actually kind of like that. I don't
Yeah.
think either team does it because
Yeah,
it's risky
exactly.
as fuck, but it's actually a hell of a
No,
trade.
I think Detroit would. I think the Lakers are too first of all, they're caught up in this LeBron thing. They're like, okay, well, so when LeBron leaves, though, because the whole problem is you can't win with those three. You can't win with those three. But if LeBron leaves, now it's just the two of them. You can play. I mean, we saw it with Kyrie and Luca. As long as you surround them with the right pieces, which the Lakers do not have. Um, yeah, that's interesting, though.
I know they need more of a forward, but would Detroit be interested in Anthony Simons at all?
Hmm. I mean, I think in theoretically they would, but then again, it's different than Reeves because you have it's the same thing as Reeves where you have to pay them in the off season, but I think Reeves is a better player. Um, who would the Celtics get back in that transaction? You're not giving up a SAR for
No, no, no,
Simons.
no.
That's the thing. That's the thing. I think you would for Reeves. I think you would. Um I'm not sure that the offensive game is ever going to hit for Asar. I'll say this, if he ever develops that jump shot though, watch out.
Would the Celtics take a Jaden Ivey in hopes that a change of scenery kind of opens him up?
Pause.
Ron Holland? Yeah. I'd take Ron Holland. I don't think they would do that for Anthony Simons, but you never know.
Mm, let's see. What is the contract situation
Oh,
with
hey, Isaac Jones is with Detroit now. Go Cougs.
So, yeah, I mean, Ivy's an expiring. So you'd be you'd be trading an expiring for an expiring, but obviously you can maybe give Ivy less money. I don't see anybody
Yeah.
paying Ivy. He's gonna have to take a short-term deal, lower money, probably, and then he'd probably want to go to a team where he could put up numbers to try to get the big contract. Because, I mean, coming out, he was considered a guy like a bit like people were like, okay, Cade and Ivy, this is like, different version, but it's like the Steph and Clay of Detroit. Like these are going to be the building blocks of our franchise, the guards. And now it's like, Ivy doesn't necessarily fit their identity defensively. And I don't know. I don't think the Celtics would do that. I think they would rather just hold on to Simons and be like, look, we know this works. But yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tricky one. With the way that the apron system with the new CBA is going, it's really hard to figure out what teams are interested in doing because you get so handicapped if you take on bad money that I think teams are just really scared, and it's almost like they'd rather these players go to free agency because they feel like they can actually get correct market value. If you give up players for a guy, then he has a little bit of leverage because it's like, okay, so you clearly want me, so re-sign me at the number that I want, and you had to already give up assets, so you're kind of stuck. So yeah, that's an interesting one. I think it's a better fit. The Lakers Pistons trade is a better fit, but we'll see. I mean, the Lakers, they might not want to move off Reeves. Um, what about LeBron to the Pistons? Woo! That would
All
never
right, and I
happen.
think that's where we gotta wrap it up for the day. We've now done hypothetical Celtics trades, and then we moved to LeBron. Um, no, LeBron to the Pistons would be sick, but obviously then that comes with like I don't even
No,
know
yeah.
how you make that work. You don't.
Well, he
For
solves
either
their
side.
offense problem, and they have the defense and the rebounding to clean up for him. But I don't think he would ever. He'd be like, no, fuck that. I'm not that desperate to win another championship. Or maybe, dude, if he went to the Pistons, dude, automatically they're everybody's favorite to win the East.
Oh yeah, of course. And I mean, like, shit, dude, that would be a real shakeup in the
That's
East. That
fun.
would make it. Then that brings a lot of attention to the Eastern Conference, and now it's like, all right, Detroit, New York, we got this kind of rivalry back on. That would be
It's more
fun.
fun if LeBron ends up on another team. Like him on the Warriors is infinitely more fun than what the Lakers or the Warriors have going on right now. Him
Oh yeah.
on Detroit makes them like a legitimate thing. Now, is that really short-sighted? Yes, it is. And obviously with LeBron comes a lot of baggage. Yeah, I don't know. That's never gonna happen, so it doesn't fucking matter, but man, that's fun. That's a very fun, like, in a video game, what does this look like?
Yeah, and I mean the only teams I think would be in the Braun business are obviously the Lakers staying in it, the Warriors because they can just kind of handle that, and then potentially the Cavs because they're looking at this era not progressing the way they wanted to, and it's LeBron, and it's kind of bringing him back home to end his career, and then giving yourself potentially a shot in the arm to actually get to the finals again. But
I
it'd be
want him to
interesting.
go to a team where he can legitimately win a championship again as one of the best 2 guys so that we can really have a debate about who's the GOAT, 'cause right now I'm not moving off of Jordan. If he wins another one as one of the best 2 guys, I am gonna start having to seriously consider switching my position, but I'm not gonna do it until he he does that, so, yeah. It's like you said,
Well,
probably a good way to end the pod.
I'm out because the 10 point a game streak ended. That was it for me. Jordan would have never let that happen. Okay. Well, yeah, we're at an hour 15, so I think that's good for today. Um, thank you guys for tuning in. Uh, yay, finally getting a little more consistent with it, finally. It seems like the less amount of football games, the easier it is to talk a little bit of basketball. Um, but Todd, thank you for joining us. Go Hawks, go Pats, and we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, good job by you, bud.
Good job by you.
Love you guys.